What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/StoriesAboutKevin. This story's called The Most Hated Coworker in My Store, Even to This Day. This is my first time posting after a couple of years of watching Reddit videos on YouTube. I apologize for any mistakes and sorry if this story doesn't seem like it fits. I thought it did and wanted to share my experience with possibly the dumbest person I have literally ever met. To start, I work at a pizza place that's popular on the left half of the United States. I've worked here for 2 years, having started about a week after it opened next to my house, and was promoted about 6 months ago to shift supervisor. It's not important, just proud of myself. Good job. This job is amazing. Our general manager is this super cool, laid-back person. I've never felt uncomfortable talking to him or making fun of any tiny mistakes he makes. We all do it, and he does it right back. He always understands our need for time off and only gets annoyed at us, a bunch of teenagers, if we call out a lot. Not often. The crew is very friendly and we have no problem poking fun at each other. Most of us recognize when we've taken things too far. Most of us. About a year after I was hired by a senior shift supervisor, the lady I called my work mom until she was forced to move locations, we realized we needed more crew. Okay, easy. She got to hire one more person at this time. He ended up being our Kevin. Now, everyone loved me. I know this because they tell me. So surely, since she did a good job on me, he couldn't be bad, right? Wrong! Kevin proved rather quickly to be unteachable. Unfortunately, our location is pretty popular. I'm almost certain we make the most money in the entire company. Even on a slow Wednesday, we can end up having made about $4,000. On any given Friday or Saturday, the busiest days of the week, we can make between $6,000 and $7,000. So as you've guessed, our environment was fast-paced during the rush, right after people were getting home and decided they didn't want to cook. Kevin was slow. We decided, okay, he's new, he will get faster. He did not. Kevin took forever, even on a pepperoni pizza. Up to 5 minutes sometimes. Can you imagine how long he took on our Supreme? Which I can make without looking at a ticket in less than 2 minutes? We had more complex pizzas than that too. Often we had to tell him to make room on the line while he was doing this. He took up the whole space if he could. That's something I did not understand. This kid was the skinniest boy ever. Skin and bones. About 5', 6, or 8. He didn't understand when we had to shove his pizza down the line for him to keep making it so we could start on the next one. Kevin also did not understand when he needed to stop. He loved to talk. I, an introvert until proven otherwise, don't mind it. I have siblings and an obnoxious family, and the crew of mostly boys was loud and rambunctious. I was one of 3 females at the time out of 20. Kevin just did not know how to shut up. He would make a point to talk over people, he repeated his stories a lot, and he would continuously act like he was better, being the new kid of people who had worked here since the start. This was my first job. I've never had another one. Kevin had had a job previously at a grocery store. None of us really understood what happened, but we were later told by Kevin himself that his position was terminated, so they had to let him go. Oh, it was making sense. He got fired from his last job, probably from the same garbage he was doing now. We could not do the same without paying unemployment, already high in my company. So the general manager let it ride out. He did not change. In fact, as he felt more confident in his position, he got worse. He often bossed me around. Again, I was one of 3 females at the time. I did not like this. Why? For one, I was his senior. 2, he also spoke rudely about and to work mom, the one who hired his dumbass. He was just sexist, the entire crew decided. The guys didn't let him get away with this, and work mom made sure to chew him out for his behavior. He humbled, but not enough. This kid made comments continuously, still trying to act all high and mighty. He was lazy. He complained that the cheese boxes were too heavy to carry from our walk-in to the make line. Truthfully, the boxes can be heavy and the distance can be far, but the store is still pretty small and most of us can carry at least 2 of these boxes at a time across the way. I can carry 3. I do not work out, nor have I ever. He was just like that, I guess. Back to his comments. Kevin liked to call me names. His favorite was calling me a mini work mom. I did not mind this. I loved her. She could be a little overbearing sometimes, but she was always nice to everyone, kept in mind our own lives, and would occasionally order snacks for the closing shift, way after she left. It was fun with her, and it was enough that if one of the guys didn't want to beg her for food, they'd come to me. All I would have to say is, "Work, Mom, I want brownies from Papa John's," or whatever from wherever, and she would have it delivered for us. I guess I was her favorite. Probably still am, but snacks are snacks! Anyway, like I said, I liked her, so I didn't mind being called her Minnie. It made sense, too. I often was telling him to be more careful of what he was doing, or to stop being lazy and come help on the frickin' make line, using those words. I did this only to him and the other female crew once. Both times I earned a soft, "Oh, crap," from the general manager standing next to me. Both times he raised his eyebrows and was like, "Damn, she snapped, huh?" He did not stop me, though. Kevin hated me for some reason. I didn't take his crap. I narked on him when he was doing crap he wasn't supposed to, or refused to listen to anyone. This was most of his write-ups. There came a day that the crew leader and assistant manager, both amazing dorks, were screwing around and making everyone laugh. As I was laughing, I walked by Kevin to hang a ticket. He had the nerve to look me in the eye and go, "They're autistic." I just told him to shut the front door. Neither of them were, and he clearly had used it as an insult or slur of some kind. I then immediately went to work mom and told her that when she got back from her break, we needed to talk about Kevin, and we did. She pulled me in the walk-in with our general manager and told me to tell the story. I did, and I cried. Honestly, my tears were panic. I hated how he spoke. My little brother is autistic, and as much as I make fun of said brother at home, the kid makes fun of himself most times, I love him. And if anyone ever made a remark like that in front of or to him, I would probably snap their stupid little neck. Looking back, the tears really laid it on thick. The only other time I had cried to them was when a different guy, who also thought he was above everyone else, was discriminating against me a couple of weeks after I, a 16-year-old girl, had started. They took what I said and let me sit in my car to calm down. He got written up and a talking to for speaking about his bosses that way. The general manager came to me while I sat in a panic and calmed me down, affirming that he doesn't want me or anyone else to be uncomfortable. He didn't want me to leave. I'm a great employee, etc., etc. I nodded along. A different supervisor the next day, honestly, this supervisor creeped me out, but I never could figure out why. It was pretty nice. He told me that if Kevin didn't apologize to me by the time Kevin left that day, tell him he would have to deal with him. I got my apology the next day. You'd think, well, Kevin is probably fired by now, right? No. Let me tell you what did get him fired. But first, a recap. Kevin was sexist, he hated me, literally no one liked him, everyone wanted him fired, he was slow as a snail, and he made all sorts of comments he shouldn't have been making. And he was now on his last write-up, the nail in the damn coffin. His stupid comments again. You would think he'd learned. We all thought he would learn to be more careful. Well, not only was Kevin sexist, he was a racist bastard, surrounded by Latinos, Hispanics, I don't know the right word for them, mostly mixed people. I, work mom, the general manager, the assistant manager, and the crew leader were white. That was it. Now, Kevin did not necessarily make a comment. No, the way our system works, we can keep track of customers using their phone numbers. How convenient. He went into the profile of one of the guys, whose family literally came from Mexico, and put in all the little note slots, racist things. I don't want to go into too much here, but a lot of it was, "Make America Great Again," and "Build the Wall," and "Get out of America." It was discovered, or rather someone was standing next to Kevin as he did this. The next time I went in, he wasn't there. I wasn't complaining, but when I asked why, I was shown the profile and I could only stare in horror. Now, to this day, we make fun of this idiot. All of the little things he did, I'm still sometimes called a Minnie, even though she's been at a different location for ages, and occasionally the way he walked. It was a stupid walk, to be fair. He looked like a pigeon. Sorry it's so long, I just really needed to get across how stupid he was, along with all the crap he tried to pull. I tried not to make anything too obvious, but I'm sure if any of my coworkers see this, they'll know Kevin is difficult to forget. It's an interesting trend to see how many Kevins are racist, sexist, and all that jazz. Just goes to show that if you think someone's gender, sexuality, their freaking race has any bearing on the type of person they are, you're probably stupid. And before someone tries to call me out on a stupid technicality, race and culture are different. Culture can shape the type of person you are, but race, that's different. It's just basically how you look. This story's called My Dad is a Kevin. So after reading stories about Kevin, I have come to the realization that my dad is the most Kevin I know. This is going to be a long read. I hope you enjoy these stories. Nothing that really traumatized me or my family. We just look back at these tales of caution and laugh. These are all old stories, as my dad has not been in my life for the last 16 years. I am 34 now, so you can do the math. My parents split when I was 6, and my mom, having sole custody of myself and my 2 siblings, dedicated her life to snuffing out any Kevin traits that may have been passed down through his genes. I am proud to say that I am not a Kavina and more like a Phoebe from Friends kind of person. Thank you, Mom. Now on to some Kevin dad stories. When my dad was 9, he and my uncle, his younger brother, wanted to see who could toss the largest rock into a river near their house. This river was fast flowing and emptied into the Atlantic Ocean. Dad found the largest boulder he could lift, held it over the side of a bridge, and forgot to let go. He was fished out by a neighbor. My dad was attacked by a tiger. My parents met in the military. They were stationed at a base near Winnipeg, Manitoba. My dad took my mom on a date to the zoo. He wanted a picture of a tiger, but he wanted the tiger to look like it was in a natural habitat. So, you know those chain lines with a sign that says, "Do not cross this line"? He crossed it, put both of his arms in the cage to steady the camera. The tiger took one look and pounced. Dad fell back, people panicked. No major damage was done. Who knew tigers could leap so far? My dad made my mom trek through northern Ontario brush to find a hot spring. On their way from Winnipeg to Toronto, my parents noticed some steam coming from the forest near the Trans-Canada Highway. My dad, a 23-year-old who just got his high school diploma with the help of my mother, was adamant that there was a hot spring nearby. He had just taken grade 10 geography, so he knew what he was talking about. The hot spring he found was a sewage treatment plant. The newest National Lampoon movie gave my mom horror flashbacks. My dad was chased down the highway by a cow moose. Same road trip. Dad saw a baby moose at the side of the road and decided this was his Disney princess moment. Mom warned him not to get close, but he wanted a picture of the baby moose up close. Well, out comes Mama charging at full speed. My mother, who was behind the wheel at the time, had the car in neutral so it could roll forward slowly while Dad ran back to the car, hopped in the passenger side, and they sped off. Mama was still chasing them for a good few minutes, which felt like hours. By the way, this trip from Winnipeg to Toronto was for their wedding. I don't know why my mom didn't see any red flags. Love is blind. My dad almost electrocuted himself. When our family was transferred to a Canadian Air Force base in Lahr, Germany, we got an unfurnished apartment. At this point, it's mom, dad, older brother, and myself. The unfurnished apartment had no light fixtures in the walls or ceiling, just exposed wire. My dad wanted to know if the wires were hot, so he touched one, blasted back a few feet, and was burned, but not dead. My dad left me unsupervised on a 4th floor balcony with no ledge. The same apartment as before, property owners were renovating balconies. My dad had the day off and my mother had a shift on base. Mom told dad to make sure the patio door is shut and locked, so brother, 3 or 4 at the time, and I, just turned 2, don't go on the balcony. She comes home after work to see dad sleeping on the couch, balcony door wide open, and me looking over the edge. Mom had to give me the most calm, "Come give mommy a big hug," she could muster while screaming internally. Dad didn't know what was wrong. Dad has crashed every vehicle he has owned. Every car, truck, dirt bike, motorcycle, boat, you name it. He is the reason Ontario premiums are high. Once he crashed the family car on a quiet pedestrian road, going 30 kilometers an hour into a parked tow truck, in front of a house where a large Greek family was having a party. My older brother and I were in the car. It was a write-off. A Greek grandma gave my brother and I candy. My dad has had 2 kitchen fires that I know of, and one wasn't even in his own house. We were visiting friends of the family we met on base in Germany. These people are still in my life, and they are considered aunt, uncle, and cousins. My dad went to make fries, and while waiting for the pot of oil to heat up, he took a nap. Same thing happened in his own apartment years later. Icing on the cake? My dad was a Toronto firefighter at the time. He's retired now, so Toronto citizens, you can sleep well. There are way more stories, but this is enough to get my point across. It is kind of therapeutic to get these off my chest and onto the internet. TLDR, my dad is an idiot. Oh, the kitchen fire thing. I have a story for you guys, okay? It's a bit of a Kevin moment on my part. So my mom was cooking something. I don't know what the hell she was doing, but she's a dummy, okay? And somehow she caught the food in the pot on fire. Okay, and my room was just down the hall from the kitchen. Okay, so I see and smell the smoke, and so I go to the kitchen to see what the hell is going on. And I'm just like, there's this freaking pressure cooker, okay, with the lid off, and there's just fire coming out of it. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And so I freak out, I grab a cup, and I fill it with water, and I throw it onto the fire, and I'm expecting some, heroic rush of dopamine, okay? Well, what actually happened was it exploded, fire went everywhere. Luckily, I jumped back with my amazing cat-like reflexes, and my mom was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know!" And then she put the lid back on the pot and sealed it, and so, as you know, fire burns oxygen, so it needs oxygen to burn, and eventually the fire went away. And then the house was absolutely just freaking filled with smoke. We had to open all the doors and windows, and my dad took us kids back to his gas station so we could hang out there. My poor little brother was straight up traumatized by that. Like, if you just screamed, "Fire!" he'd be like, "Ah!" Anyway, I was unaware of the whole grease fire rule that you can't throw water on it. You want to know the kicker? I was 16. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.